My grandmother always said success is like a forest. People only see the tallest trees, never the roots holding them up. I never understood what she meant until I became those roots. I'm Leah Tran, and this is the story of how I went from being just a server in my fiancé's upper-class circle to the woman who owned the company his boss answered to right there in a ballroom in downtown Boston on a winter night in 2018. I grew up in the heart of Dorchester, above my family's humble Vietnamese diner. My parents worked from dawn to midnight, and by the time I was 7, I was already setting tables. At 10, I was helping my mom prep vegetables. By 13, I was balancing the checkbook better than most adults. "Leah, check this for me," my dad would say, handing me a wrinkled invoice with his tired smile. "You're better than QuickBooks," he'd joke. "Someday you'll run something big." I took those words to heart. While other kids played with dolls or scrolled social media, I was playing with margin calculations and cost optimization charts. By 17, I'd earned a scholarship to MIT, where I built a predictive finance tool that analyzed market behavior. By age 27, I'd spun that project into Everflow Analytics, a stealth mode fintech firm that quietly powered data insights for several Fortune 500 companies. I stayed behind the curtain, letting my co-founder be the face, while I made the engine run from backstage. And then I met Daniel. At a corner bookstore off Tremont Street, I was in leggings and a hoodie, poring over a book on behavioral economics. He dropped a stack of books nearby, startling me. "Sorry, didn't mean to startle you," he said, blushing. "No worries," I smiled. "Light reading?" He grinned. "Teaching civics to 10th graders. Gotta stay one step ahead of them." One coffee turned into dinner, and dinner turned into something real. He loved history, equity, and people more than power or money. And for the first time in years, I let someone in. I just didn't expect his family to laugh at me behind champagne glasses until their CEO turned to me and said, "Leah, what are you doing here?" Their laughter died instantly, and I just smiled. He cared about people. When Daniel proposed 6 months later, I said yes without hesitation. That's when I met the Ren Shaws, and everything shifted. They were old Boston money, legacy donors, Ivy League lineage. Their dinner conversations drifted from investment properties in Martha's Vineyard to which opera galas they'd be sponsoring that year. Daniel's older sister Camila practically oozed polished disdain. She was a marketing director at Prestwick and Wolf, one of the city's top financial firms, and she never let anyone forget it. From the moment we met at their stately brownstone in Back Bay, her eyes assessed me like I was an unsorted file. "So, Leah," she said at our first dinner, her tone smooth but condescending, "Daniel says you work in food service." I could have said more. Could have revealed that Everflow Analytics, my company, processed data for Prestwick and Wolf and half their competitors. But I didn't. Something in her voice, the way she rolled the words food service like they tasted sour, made me pause. "I help run my family's restaurant," I said simply. "Oh, right, the Vietnamese place in Dorchester," she replied, lifting her crystal glass. "How quaint." Daniel shifted in his chair. His mother, Marion, broke the tension with a high-pitched trill. "Not everyone can be a Camila, dear, did you hear? She just secured the Farnsworth account. Even their CEO sent a handwritten note." I nearly laughed. The Farnsworth Group had just completed a quiet tech upgrade using Everflow's software. I'd personally approved the final pricing model. "That's really impressive," I said sincerely. Camila beamed. The next few gatherings followed the same pattern. Camila polished her crown while I stayed silent. Daniel would squeeze my hand under the table, murmuring afterward, "They just don't know you yet. Give it time." Then came the party. Camila was hosting a grand celebration at the Ren Shaw estate to commemorate her promotion to Senior Director of Brand Strategy. The guest list included top execs from Prestwick and Wolf and several major clients. "Leah," Camila said sweetly at the planning dinner, her voice coated in sugar, "since you have restaurant experience, would you mind helping direct the waitstaff that evening?" Marion clapped excitedly. "What a perfect fit! Leah understands that world." I met Camila's smug gaze across the table. I smiled. Of course, I said. I'd be delighted. Of course, I said calmly. I'd be happy to help. Later that night, Daniel tried to apologize. You don't have to do this, he said gently. We can just tell them you're not feeling well. But I shook my head, the outline of a plan already crystallizing in my mind. I want to help, I said. It's a big night for Camila. Everything should be perfect. What they didn't know was that earlier that morning, I'd received a very interesting email from James Prestwick, CEO of Prestwick & Wolf. He was attending the party and wanted to meet the elusive founder behind Everflow Analytics. A potential partnership or acquisition was on the table. Camila had no idea her carefully choreographed celebration was about to become the backdrop for something far more significant than her promotion. As I slipped into bed that night, I let myself grin. It was the first time I genuinely smiled since meeting the Ren Shaws. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's revelation, delivered with elegance. And something told me this was going to be unforgettable. The day of the party arrived like the overture to a Broadway spectacle. The Ren Shaws' state had been completely transformed. What Marianne called a tasteful display of accomplishment looked to me like a desperate shrine to external validation. Crystal chandeliers had been rented, live orchids flown in from Costa Rica, and a harpist had been stationed near the atrium fountain. Ironically, the budget for this event likely outstripped Camila's annual bonus. Leah, Camila's voice cut through my thoughts like cold perfume. She floated into view in a gown that screamed couture and condescension. The catering staff is waiting in the kitchen. Please help keep them on task. And, her eyes narrowed on my sleek black dress, do try to stay in the background. I smiled sweetly. Of course, Camila. I'll make sure everything runs smoothly. Daniel touched my arm as I turned to go. I nodded, gently brushing his cheek. It's going to be just fine. In the kitchen, the catering team was flustered. Camila had apparently made 5 changes to the champagne schedule in under an hour. Mrs. Tran, a young server asked. Miss Ren Shaw wants the toast served at exactly 8:15, but continuous tray service before that, and we're short-staffed. I smiled and rolled up my sleeves. No problem, I've done this before. And I had only this time. The room I was managing wasn't a dining hall. It was a stage. If you've ever been underestimated, stay with me, because what happens next, you won't want to miss it. Hit subscribe to follow the rest of this story. The best is still to come. For the next hour, I worked seamlessly with the catering staff, coordinating service like I'd done back in my parents' restaurant. Every tray, every champagne refill, every guest's arrival, nothing escaped my eye. Camila flitted from group to group, laughing a little too loudly at dry jokes, her crystal glass never empty. Did you see Leah? I heard her say to a cluster of executives from Prestwick & Wolf. My brother's fiancé. She's helping the waitstaff. It's really where she feels most comfortable. Poor thing. She gave a mock sympathetic sigh. Some people just aren't built for our world. Marian added with a pat to her pearls. We try, of course. It's what family does, but you can only do so much with limited potential. I kept the smile on my face even as the tray grew heavy. My eyes scanned the crowd. Prestwick's executives were arriving one by one. At exactly 7:55 p.m., my phone buzzed in my apron pocket. A message from my CFO. All set, contract signed, you're good to go. I smiled. Right on cue. Camila, meanwhile, had become increasingly loose-lipped. She clinked glasses and smirked to a VPNW. Daniel brought her home. I honestly thought he was joking. A waitress? Marian chuckled. We're considering helping them with a little down payment on a condo. Not in our neighborhood, of course. Something manageable. Then the energy in the room shifted. A hum of whispers, turned heads, straightened spines. James Prestwick had arrived. He stood tall in a navy suit, every inch the titan of finance. Camila nearly spilled her champagne in her rush to greet him. Mr. Prestwick, what an honor. I've prepared a full presentation for you. Our newest campaign. James's gaze swept past her. His eyes landed on me and lingered. His brow furrowed. Camila, Misreading him entirely, laughed. "Oh, don't mind her. That's just my brother's fiancé. She's helping with the servers tonight." She reached for his arm. "Let me walk you through the marketing deck." But James didn't budge. "Wait, isn't that?" I passed my tray to another server and stepped forward. Camilla's face darkened. "Leah, this is not the time." "Hello, James," I said with a calm smile. "I'm glad you could make it tonight." James broke into a wide grin. "Miss Tran," he said warmly, "I didn't expect to find you serving champagne at your own event." "My own?" Camilla's voice shot up a full octave, brittle and cracking under the weight of confusion. "Well, yes," James Prestwick replied smoothly. "Given that Everflow Analytics just acquired a controlling interest in Prestwick and Wolf, I assumed this event was your way of announcing the merger." He turned toward me, eyes twinkling. "Unless, of course, you were keeping that under wraps for now?" The entire room froze. Even the string quartet in the corner stopped playing mid-note. Camilla's champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered across the marble floor. "I don't understand," she stammered, her voice wavering. She's a waitress. She helps run her family's restaurant. Vietnamese food or something," James chuckled. "Ms. Tran is the founder and CEO of Everflow Analytics, and, as of tonight, she's not only my boss, but effectively yours, too." He glanced back at me with a grin. "And those algorithm enhancements you suggested for our forecasting platform? Game-changing." Marian grasped the back of a chair, her knuckles white. "There must be some mistake. She can't be." "Oh, but I am," I said quietly. But in the stunned silence, the words rang like a bell. "Everflow has been mine from the beginning, and as of 10 minutes ago, we officially own 51% of Prestwick and Wolf." I turned toward Camila. "That includes the marketing division." Camila had gone pale green. "But all those times you treated me like I was beneath you," I offered gently. "Suggested I wasn't good enough for your world? For this family?" I smiled. "I remember every one." Daniel finally broke through the crowd, his expression stricken. "Leah, why didn't you tell me?" "Would it have mattered?" I asked softly. "Would you have defended me if you'd known I had money? Because you didn't, when you thought I didn't." The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone. Daniel stepped back, ashamed. James cleared his throat. "Well then, shall we make it official?" He gestured toward the front. "Everflow's new vision for Prestwick and Wolf." "Gladly," I said. I turned to Camila. "You had a speech prepared, didn't you? Would you like to give it, or shall I?" Camila swayed, then turned and fled the room. Marian scurried after her. I picked up a glass and gently tapped it. "Ladies and gentlemen, if I may have your attention." Daniel had retreated to the far corner of the room, his expression dazed and unreadable. Marian was nowhere to be seen, presumably chasing after Camila, who had vanished the moment I took the stage. Mr. Ren Shaws, Daniel's father, who had always been a background presence at best, stood by the bar with an empty glass, quietly studying the room as if seeing it, and me, for the first time. After the formal announcement, James Prestwick pulled me aside, his expression warm but amused. "Well," he said, sipping his scotch, "that was quite the dramatic entrance. Though I admit, I'm curious, why let them think you were just a waitress for so long?" I swirled the champagne in my glass. "Because," I said, "people often show you who they really are when they think you're beneath them." He smiled, eyes crinkling. "Their loss is our gain. I look forward to working with you, officially, this time." As the last of the guests began trickling out, Camila reappeared. Her makeup was patched together, but the confident mask she wore had slipped. She marched toward me with clenched fists. "You humiliated me," she hissed, "in front of everyone who matters to my career." "No," I said, voice calm. "You humiliated yourself. I just let you do it in front of witnesses." "I'll resign," she snapped. "I won't work for you." "That's your choice," I said, sipping calmly. "But before you make it, you should know. Word travels fast. By tomorrow morning, every major firm in Boston will know what happened tonight. Your habit of looking down on service workers? That won't be so easy to erase. She froze, the realization cutting deeper than any words I could offer. What do you want from me? I want you to learn, I said. Starting Monday, you'll be assigned to our community outreach program. We're partnering with local restaurants and small businesses to provide financial tools. You'll be reporting to my mother. Your mother? She echoed. Yes, she still runs our family restaurant. By choice, not necessity. She's leading our small business initiative. You'll learn more about real business from her in a week than a year at your firm. Camila opened her mouth, then closed it again. For once, she had nothing to say. Then Marian returned. Her carefully polished facade cracked at the edges. Leah, surely we can speak privately, she pleaded. We're family after all. Family? I turned toward her, voice soft but steady. For 3 years you excluded me from photos, sat me with the servers, and whispered about my background. When exactly did you consider me family? We didn't know, she began. I was wealthy, I finished. Exactly. You thought I was poor, so I wasn't good enough. Now that I'm not, suddenly you want to talk. Mr. Ren Shaws stepped forward, clearing his throat. She's right, Marian, he said quietly. We've behaved shamefully. Then he turned to me. I stood by and watched this family lose its values. Maybe this reckoning was overdue. The room had mostly emptied, leaving only family behind. Finally, Daniel approached. Why did you tell me? I wanted to, I said. But every time you stayed silent while your family belittled me, I realized. If you couldn't respect me as a waitress, you didn't deserve to know me as a CEO. I love you, he said. Love without respect isn't enough, I replied. You let them treat me as less. That showed me what our relationship was worth. I can change, he said, now that I know. Now that you know I'm wealthy, I corrected. That's not change, that's self-interest. I slipped off my engagement ring and placed it on the nearest table. I filed for divorce last week. You'll hear from my lawyer. Leah, please. I have a board meeting in the morning, and Camila, you're expected at the restaurant Monday at 9 a.m. My mother doesn't tolerate tardiness. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Marian, the estate looks lovely, but enjoy it while you can. The bank approved my bid. It'll become our new nonprofit foundation, supporting service workers. Their expressions were unforgettable, but I didn't stay to savor them. Outside, my phone buzzed. Dinner? Dad made your favorite. I smiled. On my way. 20 minutes later, I was home, eating dumplings, telling my parents everything. Drama, Mom said, shaking her head. But good. Some people need to learn the hard way. Dad nodded. Success without roots topples in the first storm. As I helped close up, I remembered who I was and where I came from. If you've ever been underestimated or made to feel small, drop a comment below. I read every one. And if this story inspired you, hit subscribe and stand with me. True worth isn't shown through wealth. It's revealed when no one is watching.